Hello guys and welcome back to TirsbaekTV. Today I'm visiting MyGarage, a sales, service and storage centre for all kinds of supercars, classic cars and other interesting things from the automotive world. And while we can take a quick look around later on, I'm really here to look at this Range Rover Sport SVR. Now, as some of you know, this is a particularly special car for us here on the channel because it's one of my dream cars, and it's also the most powerful and extreme car Land Rover have ever made, because it has a 5-litre V8 under the bonnet which produces 550 horsepower, giving it a top speed of 162 miles an hour and a 0 to 60 time of just 4.5 seconds, which is mad when you consider it can still fit 7 people in comfort and is a capable off-roader. Now, these are performance figures you would have expected of a sports car or even supercar just 9 or 10 years ago, and 4.5 seconds to 60 is still quick by today's standards. Now, to match those performance figures, there are a number of cosmetic changes over the standard Range Rover Sport. On the front bumper, we've got large vents on either side which replace the standard fog lights or daytime running lights to feed the twin intercoolers to keep this thing cool. And then down on the centre as well, you can see it's much more aggressive styling, along with an SVR badge to denote its spec. Now, SVR, well, SVO stands for Special Vehicle Operations, which is Land Rover's special vehicle division, if you like, a bit like AMG to Mercedes, for example. And then they have 3 separate divisions: SVR, SVX and SVO. SVR for sport, X for off-road and O for luxury. So in this case we have the R model. Then up on the bonnet we've got functional vents again to keep that engine cool, again larger over the standard car, and on the side bigger vents. However, the side vents I believe are purely cosmetic. We've got the optional 22-inch rims finished in matte black, which I believe is not a standard finish, but I could be wrong, and then with the standard blue Brembo brake calipers as well, which are absolutely huge, but I guess they need to be able to hold on to all that power. And then again on the side we've got more aggressive skirts leading up to wider, more angry arches flared at the back. Around the rear we've got an extended spoiler to help increase the downforce of the car to keep it planted at those high speeds, and then quad tailpipes so you can hear that V8 roar, which we will do in just a bit because I do have the key, and another SVR badge on the back. Something else that I wasn't aware of until very recently is that the bodywork can actually be removed if you intend to do sort of hardcore off-roading, because of course it is slightly more aggressive and possibly slightly lower than the standard car, so you don't really want to be ripping it off. We can also take a look inside the engine bay here, although unfortunately there isn't a whole lot to see. You can get an optional extra for a carbon fibre engine cover, however, as you can see, this car doesn't have that, so not a whole lot to see unfortunately, other than the usual SVR badging and supercharged badging and so on. So moving on to the interior, we've got bucket seats in front as standard with this car, which I think is just so cool. Finished in ebony Oxford leather with an SVR logo embroidered on the seat up here. Don't know if you can just about see that. And something else which I love about this car, which is unusual for a 4-door, is if we come into the back, we've even got bucket seats in here, and yet you can still fit 3 people in here, and you've still got the 2 seats which fold up in the boot as well. But bizarrely, they've even got a hole for for like a racing harness in the back as well, which is pretty funky. But despite all these sort of bucket seats and everything, you still get the Range Rover legroom and luxuries and climate control all to yourself down there. And a panoramic sunroof. On the center console, we've got the optional carbon fiber trim, and alongside that, we've got the terrain response modes, along with a new dynamic mode for the SVR, which is effectively like your sport mode for this car. Then in the center, we also have the auto terrain response, so it can work out what kind of terrain you're on, and then decide the settings for the car itself without you having to do anything. Then down here, we've got the two-step valve system for the exhaust, so you can have your sort of quiet mode and noisy mode. Although I say quiet, it's not that quiet, but we can hear that in a minute when I start it up. Up here, we've got the standard Range Rover display, along with more carbon fiber trim all over the place up on the sill, and an SVR badge over here. In front of me, we have the Range Rover steering wheel with the aluminium shifter paddles and the beautiful display there, which will have all our rev counters and everything on there when you start the engine up. And then more carbon fiber and so on down on the side. So all that's left to do now is start it up. So there we have it, the Range Rover Sport SVR. What an absolute beast. I hope you enjoyed having this little tour around the car, because I certainly did. And I can't quite get over how loud that exhaust is. But yeah, let's have a quick look around before we finish up this video, because there's also a lot of other interesting stuff around here. As you can probably tell, MyGarage is primarily a Porsche specialist, but they do have a lot of other interesting things as well. So let's go into the next room. Now firstly, in here we've got this. Now out of all the Ferraris and other sort of crazy things here, you're probably wondering why I've come over to look at this. Well, some of you may know the TV show Wheeler Dealers. Well, this car was one of the cars built on that exact TV show. Like, this is the car built by Mike Brewer and Ed China in an episode, or in the episode of Wheeler Dealers, when they did an Amphi car, which is what this is. I think if we come in the back, you can actually see it's got a little sort of collage of... I have no idea how it ended up here, but I just thought it was so cool to see a car that had actually been built by them on that TV show, even if it is not the prettiest thing in the world. Now you'll have to excuse the music in the background, but I'm just going to take a quick whiz down here at some of the cars they have in storage. We've got a Ferrari 599 GTO, which is incredibly rare and expensive. We've got a Dodge Challenger. It's got a Bentley. That's a Ferrari. Is it 512? I'm not sure. I'm not that clued up on my old Ferraris, I apologise. That's a 458, you can tell. Then we've got a Koenigsegg Regera. No, not Regera. Egera, sorry. But pretty spectacular in its own right. And actually, I believe this is the very first one out of all the Koenigsegg Egeras built. So this is effectively like their prototype or test car, and it has over 1100 horsepower. And it is just the most menacing looking thing, with gorgeous carbon fibre all the way along. Next up, we've got a Maserati, another Koenigsegg, this time a CCX, I believe, in full carbon body, and then an old Mercedes, and then a Ferrari 458 track car. And over on the other side, that's BMW Z3. We've got a Porsche Boxster, Dodge Viper. Again, actually it's a rarity in Europe. Gorgeous old Jag E-Type, always a pleasure. And a Porsche GT3 and a Shelby Mustang. So as you can see, MyGarage have a pretty spectacular collection of cars, and I've only touched on a very small part of it. And if you want to see more of it, then I will put a link in the description below to their website and their Instagram page, so you can see more stuff of what they get up to here. Or you could also check out the video Nissa and I did for their grand opening last year. And I want to say a huge thanks to MyGarage and the owner of the car for allowing me to use it for this video. Unfortunately, I can't drive it because of insurance regulations and so on, and it is a privately owned car, so it's in storage, but the owner was very kind to let a complete stranger come and film with their car and give me the keys and lock me in a room with it, which sounds like a very dangerous idea, to give me the keys to a dream car, one of my dream cars, and just kind of leave me with it. But hopefully the end result of this video has been good. So don't forget to leave a like, even if not for my sake, but for the people that allowed this video to happen, and also subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.